With the offseason looming, who should the Royals be looking to add in free agency or try to bring back? I'll give you my thoughts next on Locked On Royals.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are tuned into another edition of Locked On Royals in the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter at JohnnyJ_15. That is at JOHNYJ_15. You also can listen to us on wherever you download your podcast. That can be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. For you first-time listeners wondering how this channel works, I bring you episodes Monday through Friday, 30-minute episodes in length. And we also have the Locked On Royals postcast, which is hosted by Chance Lebo, and he goes to you live for about 15 to 20 minutes at the conclusion of each and every game. Before we get started, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner, and visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. We talked about this yesterday in our episode that we wanted to touch on some free agent and offseason talk on who the Royals would be looking to bring back, what guys are actually available out there. And we had a couple of Mailbag Fridays that did have questions about this of, well, who should they go after? Could they afford this guy? And I thought, with it being the off day yesterday, the game's not until 6:40 tonight, this would be the perfect time to maybe circle back to some of those questions and give you my thoughts on players the Royals should try to go after and who would be in their price range. Number one, I don't really believe it's that much of a surprise. He is pictured on our thumbnail here for the episode. It's Mike Yastrzemski. Here's the big reason why I'd go after Mike Yastrzemski. Not just because he's fit with this team, and you do have to play that a little bit more cautiously. Sometimes a guy coming over to a new team, a fresh start, can really take off and have great numbers, and then you try to bring that guy back, and the numbers just aren't there anymore. I believe, though, that Mike Yastrzemski's always been around a league average bat. That's been the best part of his game. Now, he is a platoon player. He's only going to play against right-handed pitching, and if somebody comes in out of the bullpen that's left-handed, he's going to be pinch hit for if he comes up in a big spot. And that can still be the plan next year. And with Mike Yastrzemski getting to his mid-30s, that's going to turn away a lot of teams that are looking for everyday players, permanent players. And for the Royals, I would not be opposed to maybe a one-year deal with an option for a second. He absolutely would be in the price range. He knows Kansas City now. He knows this coaching staff, knows his teammates. I feel there would be some interest there, especially with the way that Matt Quatraro handles his lineup. He wants to have platoon-heavy lineups. When there's a righty out there, he's going to throw a lot of lefties in there. When there's a lefty out there, he's going to throw a lot of righties out there. And the only pushback I believe that many people could have is, well, where's Jack Caglione going to play? If you're going to have Carter Jensen and Cags on this roster next year, Vinny's not going anywhere at first base. Carter Jensen's going to be catching more, which means Salvi needs the DH. And if you sign Yaz back, you got two lefties out there that play right field in Caglione and Mike Yastrzemski. But we saw for a chunk of this season what the outfield was producing. And I don't believe you take that for granted. If you get a league average bat for right field or left field and you can afford him, I don't think you need to look anywhere else other than Mike Yastrzemski. But a part of going for Mike Yastrzemski is to add another player who's the right-handed version of him, right? If we're going to create this lineup in the perfect way and really have that nice balance, it's not going after somebody like, Nick Lofton with those numbers. I like Nick Lofton, what he does, but if you're going to go with a true platoon and Mike Yastrzemski and somebody else, you need to be able to mimic the type of production that he's giving you. Now, what he's given the Royals since August 1st is the second best numbers offensively on the team. That might be a tall ask, but if you can find somebody with league average numbers that can play just against lefties, and think about that, you face far more righties in the season than you do lefties. So you're asking for somebody just to be that nice platoon bat from the right side. Some of the free agents out there that are from the right side, you've got Starling Marte, you've got Tyler O'Neill, but he's not going to opt out of the deal that he has in Baltimore. You've got Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's got a player option. You have Luis Robert Jr. He's got a club option. Lane Thomas. I know I just said you don't want numbers that are similar to Nick Lofton, but that's an elite defender out there. The Royals had interest in him before Cleveland traded for him last year, and he was a bit of a postseason hero for him. You've got Harrison Bader as well. That one makes a lot of sense. I just wonder if Bader wants to play every day, though, which I'm sure he does. He's put up great numbers in Minnesota and Philly this year. Grichuk's another name. Tommy Pham's another name. Ramon Laureano has a club option, though I can see him going for a lot of money in free agency if he turns down that club option, which I imagine he will. You also have Austin Slater, now a New York Yankee, former Royal Michael A. Taylor, and I believe Chris Taylor, who's more of a utility guy. The options aren't great, and I saw Preston Farr put this out there on Twitter, so I want to give him credit. Maybe the Royals go the trade route and finding that right-handed bat, but I would say that you need to absolutely target somebody that can be a league average bat for you from the right side. Because if you bring back Mike Yastrzemski, it doesn't do you any good to sign Mike Yastrzemski and say, well, that's our right fielder for 2026. Technically, yes. But to get the best out of Mike Yastrzemski, which is why I believe they've gotten the best out of him post-deadline, is that he has strictly been a platoon bat. And he has crushed right-handed pitching, not so much lefties, so you need to find a lefty killer. I feel that Lane Thomas with his defense could make some sense, try to have a bounce-back year. He's been banged up all year long. Maybe this will get some pushback, but Tommy Pham's had a good year in Pittsburgh. I just don't know if Tommy Pham would take being a platoon player. But Starling Marte, another guy the Royals were very much interested in the offseason, had interest throughout the season. That's another name, though he's going to be 37, 38. I don't know, kind of feels like the perfect time to bring him in when he's just a platoon player. Just face lefties. He crushes lefties. You have Mike Yastrzemski out there against righties. Those would maybe be the two top choices to bolster right field for you, though I probably wouldn't want to see Marte playing that much right field. He is well below average in that department. Then if I'm the Royals, I'm targeting some relief pitching. You feel good about Carlos Estevez coming back. He's leading the league in saves. You have Lucas Erceg, of course, another year of control. I'd imagine you're going to have Serpa back. Wouldn't be opposed to John Schreiber coming back on a cheaper deal. The Royals really like what he has to offer and how serviceable he's been in the last 2 years. I could see them going out there and giving him a cheap 1-year deal to come back, though I'm sure he will have some offers, though, from other teams out there that are trying to do the same thing the Royals did 2 years ago when bringing in John Schreiber. In my opinion, they need to target a legitimate shutdown left-handed reliever. Not that you need to overpay in that department, but, someone like Taylor Rogers, who, again, was acquired by the Cubs at the deadline, that's a left-handed arm that you could look into. He's going to be 35, probably a 1-year deal that you're looking at there. Another lefty like Matt Strahm, who the Royals do have familiarity with, was a Royal at one point. They need to have more than just Daniel Lynch and Angel Serpa, in my opinion, from the left side. They need somebody late in the game that you could give an entire inning to. They've done that before with Lynch and Serpa, but we've seen the struggles there. You need to have somebody that can be as reliable as maybe even Lucas Erceg in spots in the 7th and the 8th inning when there are 2 lefties coming up, or maybe 3 lefties coming up. Strahm makes a lot of sense. Jose Alvarado has a club option there. You also have Gregory Soto, who was a Baltimore Oriole, now a New York Met. Tyler Rogers, again. So you've got, Tyler Rogers from the right side, so I take that back. Taylor's in Chicago. He's the left-hander. Andrew Chafin, who's now with the Angels, might see him at some point this weekend. There's going to be an abundance of guys. Caleb Ferguson, Tim Hill, Caleb Thielbar, Hobie Milner. Hobie Milner would probably be top 2 on my list of looking at a lefty. I'm not saying that he's going to give you the lights out stuff that Erceg and Estevez do, but that's a really funky angle from the left side. If Tim Hill was to decline the club option, you could bring him back. There's another former Royal, but to have a lefty with that kind of arm angle, that funky arm angle, I believe that can go a long way in bolstering your bullpen, because it's fine to have the 2 lefties there, but I almost feel you need to choose between Serpa and Daniel Lynch and then have somebody who's better than both of them. Just to have 2 lefties in the bullpen, that's been an issue this year when they've needed that that dominance from the left side. Sam Long, maybe you just replace Sam Long with a better lefty. That's probably the easiest thing to do there. Danny Kalum, Ranger, was also acquired at the deadline. That's another guy that I feel could make a lot of sense for this bullpen. And then one last one I would try to go over, at least for now. Things are always going to be changing throughout the offseason. Is it wrong of me to want the Royals to target a better second baseman in the offseason? I mean, they can figure out what they want to do with Jonathan India. The numbers just weren't there. Adam Frazier, do you want to bring him back maybe as a depth piece? But there's going to be options out there that could really help the Royals. And one that this is probably still a very low chance, because my favorite one would probably be Brandon Lau, but he's got a declining club option in Tampa Bay. Luis Ariz is going to be an undrafted free agent, or an unrestricted free agent, excuse me. And I know the Royals had interest at one point, and he really screams the Royals hitting philosophy. Doesn't strike out, puts the ball in play. And yeah, he's a singles hitter, and the numbers aren't what they used to be. But if you had Luis Ariz at the top of the lineup, I feel you really like that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Kansas City. I'd be curious. He's 28 years old, so he's around what Jonathan India is. If you wanted to move on, you're not getting great defense there anyway. That maybe is something the Royals could look into if they really wanted to make a splash, but I'd imagine he'll have a lot of suitors as well. I just try to go back to some of those guys the Royals were linked to. Starling Marte being one, Luis Ariz being another. Now that there's no ties there, they don't need to decline an option. They will just be a free agent, a flat-out free agent. They're going to have their chance to make a play, and I wonder if a couple of those guys the Royals will be making a play on. Who do you want to see the Royals target in the offseason? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. We'll take our first break of the show. When we come back, do the Royals need to shut down Seth Lugo for 2025? I'll give you my opinion next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can catch us on wherever you listen to your podcast. Want to tell you about PrizePicks. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Also want to tell you about the title sponsor in FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure that you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Sticking with the NFL here, I'm going to pick something for the Broncos and Titans game. The Broncos are an 8-point favorite at Mile High. I will take them to cover that spread, and I'm also going to take the under in this game. It's early. You got a rookie quarterback. You got Denver, who's heavily going to play on their defense there. So I would probably say this will be low scoring, but in the end, I got the Broncos winning this by more than 8 points. This is a topic of conversation we've had to continue to revisit over and over again since right before the trade deadline. As we all know, Seth Lugo signed his extension in Kansas City a few days before July 31st. And since that extension, we have just not seen the same version of Seth Lugo. And if I was being brutally honest, we saw some of the negative trending, the downward trending, before that extension was signed, at least for 2025. He has pitched worse than he ever has in a Royals uniform for as long as a time, or an extended period of time, compared to last year. I mean, last year he had the lull around July to August. It was around this same time period. But in 2025, it has gone on much, much longer than it did in 2024. And in his last start on Friday against the Tigers, he was gifted a 3-run lead, and he coughed it up a few innings later. Threw nearly 100 pitches in less than 5 innings. And you just know that something is not right. Whether it's mechanical, whether it's fatigue, clearly something is not right with Seth Lugo. And it brings up an important question, but I feel it has to be asked with the way that Stephen Kolek pitched on Saturday at Kauffman Stadium. Now, Kolek has to be down at the minor league level for a few days, or I think it's a little under 2 weeks before you can call him back up. And then you could have that conversation again. Maybe it matters what Luinder Avila does. Who knows? Maybe Luinder Avila stays up and he could take that spot in the rotation. I understand that to get to the postseason, for this team to make a run in the postseason, you need Seth Lugo to return to form. But at what point do we stop just falling back on, well, he's going to at some point. He's a veteran pitcher, and he's going to figure it out. We're going to see vintage Seth Lugo once again. And I do feel that it's a good thing that he'll be facing the Angels in his next start. That'll be on Thursday night. I'll be out there. But if he returns to form, you still can say, well, it was the Los Angeles Angels. In one of his only good starts since signing the extension, it was against the Texas Rangers, a team that's ahead of the Royals in the wild card race. So that's something positive. But every other start that he's thrown has not been pretty. It's not been efficient. The command's not been there. He can't put away hitters anymore. And guys are just starting to tee off on it and have been teeing off on him. And when you're at this stage in the season, 1 month left to go, is it better for the rotation to have a fresh arm, a guy with less mileage on his arm, to go out there and pitch every fifth day? I mean, is it really that surprising to a lot of people out there that Ryan Bergert looks the way that he does, Stephen Kolek looked the way that he did, and those guys have less than 100 innings on the season? They're fresher at this point. Where Noah Cameron, he has to skip a start because he's now over his career high in innings. Michael Wacha, I thought he was dominant through about 4 innings against Detroit, and then the wheels just fell off in the 5th inning, and they put up 4 runs. He didn't even make it out of that inning. But Michael Wacha is somebody you got to keep your eye on, because at this point in the season, he might show those signs of fatigue. Seth Lugo absolutely has shown those signs of fatigue. So yes, if you want to take the approach of, well, they need him, right? They need him for a postseason run, because the best version of Seth Lugo is, of course, better than Stephen Kolek and Ryan Bergert and Noah Cameron. In fact, the best version of Seth Lugo is the ace of this team ever since Chris Bubich got hurt and ever since Cole Reagans got hurt. That's what you're dealing with here. But you're also rolling the dice that he does return to form. And with little time left on the season, you can't keep rolling the dice if this is the output it's going to be. If Seth Lugo does not pitch well on Thursday and the Royals lose that game, I mean, if we see another outing where he goes 4 innings, gives up 4 or 5 runs, he walks 3 or 4, at bare minimum, you have to skip his next start. Bare minimum. Just give him some extra rest. In the same way they're doing it for Noah Cameron. Noah Cameron did not throw in the series against Detroit. He's not throwing in the series against the Angels. He probably will throw in the series against Minnesota, unless they skip him again or something seems to be wrong. But for Seth Lugo, maybe the only way you can get back to that form is giving him more days off. Give him an entire skip in the rotation. But even if that doesn't work, right? If he doesn't pitch well against the Angels on Thursday, then you skip him in his next start, which after they're done with Minnesota on Sunday, they have Cleveland, Philadelphia, Seattle, and Toronto. Those are all tough teams. Those are all teams, I might add, that are in playoff contention. Now, Cleveland is starting to scuffle a little bit. They're 500. They did take a series from Seattle, but they're 500. They're a game and a half back at Kansas City. We'll see what they do, in Boston the rest of this week, and then we'll see what they'll do over the weekend when they take on, I believe they'll be on the road in Tampa maybe. I'll have to go back and look at that. But the Royals can't really afford to have a fatigued pitcher throwing every 5th day. That's a tough thing to decide. And I'm not saying Stephen Kolek is the answer. But if Stephen Kolek can give you more than 4 innings, because that's what Seth Lugo's been giving you in a handful of these starts, and he hasn't even given his team a chance to win many of these games, that's where you need to ask, is that the better plan? Is that the better option, and gives us more opportunities to win the rest of the way? Maybe if you shut him down for the regular season. I know it's not a perfect plan. You could keep those options open if you squeaked into the postseason. You've given him multiple weeks of rest. He can build up that arm again, and then you could try things out then. But that's also putting the cart way ahead of the horse here. We don't know if the team's going to make the postseason. The odds are not trending in that way. But if this version of Seth Lugo is going to be pitching every fifth day, they're not making it. That's just the obvious truth here. So do you try to save it by going with a fresher arm, somebody who has less mileage at this point and is coming off a quality start against a good lineup? Or do you say the upside is still there with Seth Lugo? He's got to pitch his way out of it. Because if this was 3 starts in a row, I'd say let him pitch his way out of it. And I feel I did say that after 3 rough starts. Like, you got to keep him out there. You're not going to demote him from the rotation. And that's really not what this is about. Shutting down someone for the season is about preserving that arm. Clearly the fatigue is set in. It's not you've been so bad, we don't trust you anymore, we're demoting you from the rotation completely. I get that's how it comes across. But if the fatigue is there and it's not going to get any better every 5th day, you do have to pivot to somebody else at that point. So that's what I'm watching for on Thursday. If he doesn't look good, I would maybe start thinking about Stephen Kolek making that next turn in the rotation, or you just skip him completely. What are your thoughts on Seth Lugo? Do they need to shut him down? Let him pitch through it? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. We'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, let's preview the upcoming series with the Halos. That's next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson. Catch us on wherever you listen to your podcast. 2 things we want to tell you about, beginning with the listener survey. We have an important request, and Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win 1 of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey, and you can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Also want to tell you about Upside, and with Upside, you can stop leaving money behind. Are you still paying full price for gas? Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or the Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offer varies by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. The Royals begin their 3-game series with the Angels tonight. First pitch will be at 6:40. And at first glance at this series, there's not a lot to tell about the Angels in terms of who they're going to be starting. We did get word on who Game 1 starter will be. No idea who Game 2 starter was going to be. And in fact, if you go to the MLB app right now, they don't have a starter listed for tonight. So when I was checking on this 2 days ago and then a day ago, the Angels did not have a starter for tonight's game, Wednesday's game, and then it was Kyle Hendricks on Thursday. And I'm still not 100% convinced it's going to be Kyle Hendricks on Thursday. But we do know the Game 1 starter tonight will be making his Major League debut. It is Mitch Ferris, a left-hander who is coming up from Double-A. I know what everybody's going to be commenting about with that. You've got a soft-tossing lefty who's making his debut. He's coming up from Double-A, so he's got to be shutting out the Royals through 6 innings, right? Well, I would say that there's a few things to discuss when it comes to Mitch Ferris. Though he is a softer tossing lefty, he's got a really good changeup. I thought a really good cutter as well. He had a 4.27 ERA in Double-A, but he struck out 142 guys in 116 innings this year. So a strikeout pitcher in Double-A. He is also, 24 years old for Double-A. that could be where the strikeout numbers are coming from. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Royals don't see him that well to begin the game. With starters like this where there is virtually no data on him, yes, you could look at AA film, but it's AA film. It's not the same as looking at a pitcher who's got the big league film on him. You know how he attacks big league hitters. The Royals may struggle this first time around, and the first thing that popped to me with Mitch Ferris is that he just hides the ball really well behind his left leg, it would be. So he kind of goes down his thigh to his knee, and then he comes over the top. That can be a little funky to some hitters. I mean, it's clearly why he was able to get the strikeout total in Rocket City in AA, because AA hitters having to pick that up can be pretty difficult. For big league hitters, I guess we'll find out tonight. Though I will say the Royals offense is different than what it was in the first half. We know that by now. The numbers are better. The averages are better. What I'm more curious about is, will Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen play tonight? I mean, you've got a lefty on the mound, but you have an unproven lefty, a AA guy making his big league debut. And that's quite a jump. I don't know if the Angels are going to allow him to go out there and throw 6 innings, but if the Royals can get to him early, they're going to put themselves in a really good spot for the rest of this series. And that's what the Royals do have going for them. They got Lorenzen throwing game 1, Ryan Bergert throwing game 2, and Seth Lugo game 3. But the only guaranteed starter that's thrown for the Angels before is Kyle Hendricks. Now, I checked a couple of the beat reporters earlier this morning for covering the Los Angeles Angels. They hinted at Wednesday night being an opener or Jose Urena, who the Royals saw in Minnesota when he was the opener for the Twins. They lost that series. It was that ugly Sunday game where Urena walked like 4 or 5 in 2 innings, but didn't give up any runs. Could be seeing him again. Could be seeing another opener. But that's why tonight is so important if the Royals are to pull off a sweep. And I'd imagine that when you look at these two opponents on paper, yes, the Angels competed well in Houston. The Astros ended up taking 3 of 4 in that series. But when you've got a rookie coming up from AA and a potential bullpen game tomorrow, if the Royals jump all over Mitch Ferris tonight, they are going to put themselves in a very favorable spot to sweep this series. And if you sweep this series, you feel fantastic going into play a bad Minnesota team over the weekend at home to wrap up this 9-game road trip, or 9-game homestand, excuse me. Because you burn into that bullpen tonight, and then you force them to use that same bullpen tomorrow, those should be 2 games that you win pretty comfortably. I say should, and then also can acknowledge it's still baseball. There's a chance that for what a lot of you are saying and thinking, Mitch Ferris, soft-tossing lefty, making his big league debut, he throws well against the Royals, and they score runs off Michael Lorenzen. That all is absolutely possible. But it is a different Royals lineup. They've got some new blood joining them in Carter Jensen and Jack Caglione. And even though it's a lefty tonight, I'm going to call it that Carter Jensen is in the lineup tonight. I feel this is still a good time to do that. You should not have to platoon Carter Jensen. Jack Caglione, probably a different story. But then again, maybe you put him out there in right field because Yaz just doesn't hit lefties. Maybe Cags is in the lineup tonight, and then you could have Carter Jensen behind the plate. They're facing somebody that I would actually have to go back and look if they have seen him in AA this year. So I definitely will do some digging. I'll probably put it out on Twitter later if Caglione and Carter Jensen had seen Mitch Ferris. But that is the matchup tonight. Michael Lorenzen going up against Mitch Ferris, making his big league debut, and he's coming all the way up from Rocket City in AA for the Angels. As for some guys that have history with Michael Lorenzen, Taylor Ward is 2 for 10, though he crashed into the wall right near the Crawford boxes in Houston and kind of banged up his face. I don't know if he's going to be available for this series. We'll find out soon enough. Luis Rengifo has an OPS north of 1,500 in 8 at-bats against Lorenzen. He's homered twice. He's the only Angel on this roster that's homered off Lorenzen. Yohan Moncada is looks like 2 for 8 in his career off Lorenzen, and Joe Adell is 2 for 5. So that'll be the matchup tonight. Tomorrow, Ryan Bergert against an opener or Jose Urena. Ryan Bergert, too, is somebody the Angels have really no familiarity with. Oswaldo Peraza, who the Angels acquired at the deadline, he is 0 for 2 in his career off Ryan Bergert. Nobody else on that roster has any any at bat against him in their big league careers. And then on Thursday, this is the only guarantee we have, though I said I'm not even sure if Kyle Hendricks will be the starter just because of how wonky this rotation has been for the Angels in this series. Kyle Hendricks is 6-9 with a 4.89 ERA. Lugo's ERA is now north of 4. He is 8-7 with a 4.15 ERA. As for some of the guys with success off of these pitchers, Adam Frazier, by the way, is hitting 412 and 34 at bats against Kyle Hendricks. So I would absolutely guess that he is going to be in the lineup against Hendricks. Randall Grichuk is 1 for 13 in his career. I would not guess that he'd be in the lineup. You also have Salvador Perez, who hits 182 and 11 at bats, and Mike Yastrzemski is hitting 125 and 16 at bats. As for the Angels, Joe Adell is hitting 222 and 9 at bats against Seth Lugo. You've got Logan O'Hoppe, who's hitting he's 2 for 6 in 6 at bats against Seth Lugo in his career. Chris Taylor is 2 for 3 with a home run in his career against Seth Lugo. Taylor Ward is 0 for 7, and Travis d'Arnaud his 2 for 6 in his career against Seth Lugo. That will be the series finale before the Royals take on the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. Well, that'll do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jack Johnson. It's another big moment on Locked On, college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Tomorrow, we are going to be talking about what happens in tonight's game and look ahead to Ryan Burgert's next start for the Royals. But until then, you take it easy, Kansas City.